Teen-centric.
Teen-centric.
You're listening to Teen-centric.
Teen-centric.
KPPQ, LP Ventura, 104.1 FM.
For those of you tuning into Teen-centric, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Craig Rosen. I'll be with you over the next half hour. This is episode 2, and if you listened to the first program, I mentioned that on this show I will interview 3 teens who, at the time of the interviews, were in juvenile hall. For first-time listeners, Teen-centric is about teens and features interviews with teens. In addition to talking with them about their lives, all of them are writing poetry, and they will recite their poems. I produce this show to provide a platform for young people. Many of the kids you will hear from are having a hard time in their lives, addicted to drugs, struggling with mental illness, undocumented and facing the threat of ICE, or incarcerated. I've been so impressed working with young people that I want to give them an opportunity for their voices to be heard. All too often, teens aren't listened to by their parents, their teachers, or other adults they come into contact with. It's hard being a teen. I'm sure anyone listening who is raising a teen or two would say to me, hey, it's hard living with teens. I'm sure there are teachers who would tell me it's no bed of roses having a class full of them either. I realize that. Hopefully teens will benefit from being able to tell their stories or by listening to stories they can relate to. I hope that for adults listening, you can gain insights and apply them to any interaction with your own teens or teens you encounter. Many of the youth interviewed on this program will remain anonymous. Some will choose to be identified. When they want to be known, I will ask them to introduce themselves. For the others, I'll try to give you a little context around the interview. Opinions expressed on Teen-centric do not necessarily represent those of KPPQ. I'm starting an interview with Jay. Jay, can you tell everybody who's listening where we are right now?
We're in the Ventura County Juvenile Hall in Oxnard.
And you've been here before?
Yeah, I've been here like 10 times since I was 15.
You've also been writing some poems, which I'm really impressed with.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've done a nice job. And so you're going to read one of them for everybody right now.
Okay, this one is called Truth, and it's about one of my ex-boyfriends. From sleeping in cars with you to walking the streets at 3 a.m. in the rain, I stood by your side throughout your struggles. I never judged you. I paid close attention to the way the drugs made you happy in a way that I never could. It made me jealous as I watched the smoke you were chasing from the burning foil form a smile on your bony face. I wondered what was wrong with me that I could never satisfy you, so I turned to the pipe for my answers with your help lighting it, but ended up with nothing, only hurt, and that hurt turned slowly into hate. I guess some people are brought into our lives for lessons and not blessings.
Wow. So that's a really courageous poem to put out there. Wondering why you can't reach somebody the same way the drugs can. There must be a lot of people out there that have seen that happen to somebody they've been in love with. Mm-hmm. The way you said, what was wrong with me? When in fact, he had the problem. He's hitting the pipe and he's not paying attention to somebody who cares about him. So if there are other girls out there who might be in a similar situation, do you feel like now you've got a little perspective and you could offer them some advice?
Yeah, I would tell them to stay away from a guy who's like that, because he won't love you the way that you want him to, because he's always going to put the drugs before you and you're just going to end up getting hurt.
I think in another poem that you shared, you also mentioned the fact that you have a family member who's hit the pipe before.
Yeah.
Who would that be?
That would be my older sister.
Okay.
And my dad.
Right. So you saw that at an early age?
Well, I didn't see my dad like actually smoking it, but I noticed he would come home, or he wouldn't come home for like 3 days. And when he would come home, he would be in the same clothes, yeah. Yeah.
Now, before you got involved with your ex, you weren't using drugs?
No, I would always be I'm never gonna do that, because I saw the way my sister would get, and then.
Like, how long did you see that with her?
I only saw her once, because she wouldn't be home, she would always leave. But then I saw her and my dad would argue over it. My dad would be if she's not gonna change, then he's not gonna stop, and then I would, back then I didn't really care, so I would just, whenever they would have conversations like that, I would always leave the room, because I never understood. But now that I'm older and my dad sits there and he sees me when I'm all smoked out, I know how my sister felt.
Right, now you've been through it.
Yeah.
And then what's interesting is then you showed me another poem about how sometimes you got to focus on yourself first, right? You want to read this?
Yeah, I named this one Unforgiven, Okay. As I'm in my cell room the day after my 18th birthday, I think back to 10 months ago to when I first started to mess with the pipe. It's been a hell of a ride. Don't get me wrong, I'm grown and it's not like anybody held a gun to my head telling me to take my first hit. But from everything that I went through these past few months, I wish that I would have stayed away. I feel like if I would have kept to myself, I would have had my mentality that I'm not gonna do that type of attitude, because I know and see what it does to my dad and me. But when I'm high, it's like that girl I see in the mirror isn't me. The dope changed me. Even though he put me down, called me names, deep down I still care about him and wish nothing but the best for him. But that's as far as it goes. He taught me that no matter how much a person claims that they care or love for you, the drugs will always come first. And that's something that I will always carry with me.
He taught you that, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel like you've learned that lesson?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, because now, like, he was texting me saying that he misses me, and, like, I learned to, like, push him away, you know, because I was just going to go back to what I was doing with him.
All right, you don't want to do that.
No.
How does it make you feel to be able to write this down? Is it a good thing?
Yeah, I just feel like I'm letting everything out, you know, and, like, because, like, when I feel like I have no one to talk to, you know, like, I just write it down and that's it. Or when I start thinking about him, I just write it as if I'm writing it to him or if I'm telling it to him.
So it helps get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. And I also feel like it seems to me it's positive when you learn ways to express what you're feeling instead of just being stuck.
Yeah.
Right? You think this has helped you with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's better than just, like, keeping it all in like I usually do.
Right, so what's inspiring you to write these days?
Just the fact that I feel like I have no one to talk to about it, you know, or, like, I just don't want anybody to know that, you know.
I feel that.
Yeah.
You're looking forward to being in the book?
Yeah.
You ought to be. We'll put you in there. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you for listening.
That was the first of 3 interviews you will hear on the program today. These 3 young people struggle with drug addiction. It's the main reason for their incarceration. In the second interview you are about to hear, the writer's addiction was more severe and led to her experiencing dramatic withdrawal symptoms while she was in jail. She talks about that in the interview. Her poem, the only one she wrote, paints a vivid picture of the drug-addicted life.
I never thought I'd be like this, stuck in a bathroom for hours, doing dope next to the person I love, walking hours for hours all over town, looking for foil on the ground, not knowing what to do, just know time is running out. I lost all my respect, and especially all my values just for drugs. I live on the streets, and I am only 18 and addicted to drugs. I wish my family knew how much I love them, but I'm just addicted to drugs.
Okay, so that's one of the first pieces of writing you've done about this?
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel to do that?
It felt crazy.
It felt a little crazy, huh? You know, we were talking about it just the other day, and you were telling me what it was like to kick.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to get into that a little more?
Oh, no, it was just horrible. I mean,
you had to, like, beat it while you were locked up.
Mm-hmm.
You said you felt like you were going to die sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the experience that you were going through when you were homeless?
I was kicked out when I was 18. My mom kicked me out. I relapsed. I was with my man and I started doing black. And it was just like, I had this problem since I was 17, but started at 14. So, I've had this problem for about 5 years now. So it just kept getting worse and out there, and I just didn't know what to do. And I don't know.
I met you in juvenile hall, and you've been here before?
Mm-hmm.
How many times?
Since I was 14.
Okay, so many times. Was this latest experience you went through where you had to get off methadone and heroin, like probably the most intense experience you've ever been through in your life?
Yeah, because I felt sick. I felt like it felt horrible, you know? I was sweating, I was throwing up, I was like, I couldn't even stand because I was so weak. I couldn't even walk. I had to walk. I had to be wheelchaired. You know, it was just horrible. So, I mean, I was scared to die. I was scared to lose my life because I never knew how it was to kick, you know? And, like, my worst fear was getting sick all the time, you know? So that's like, I have to keep doing it. I have to keep doing it. Like, I felt like I had to keep doing it so I wouldn't get sick, you know? But then, like, here I am, sick 4 months later, you know? And I'm just like, dang, you know? Like, that's crazy. Like, I never thought, you know, I'd go from meth to heroin before I even knew it, you know? And I never thought I'd go from being a recreational pot smoker to being losing it all and losing everything and losing my family and end up out there. It's just ugly.
I believe you.
But I'm next to someone that loves me. You get me? Regardless. So, I mean, you know, I might be with someone that's a dope fiend, but I love him, you know? Like, it doesn't define the person he is, you know? It's just, you know, we look after each other out there, and that's all that matters.
Do you feel like now that you've been able to kick that you're going to be able to find some strength inside yourself moving forward?
Yeah.
Because that has to be something that not everybody can do. You can see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I hope you'll be able to find some belief in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said it felt crazy to do this writing?
Yeah.
Crazy good?
I mean, yeah. It just makes you think a lot, you know? Like, what type of life do you want? Do you want to have a good life? Do you want to go to school? Do you want to pursue something? Or do you want to be out on the streets and not have anything and struggle out there daily and have to sleep daily out on the streets and not have anywhere to go and have to go from bed to bed or from couch to couch? Or do you just want to stop doing dope and just pursue something better, have a job? And, you know, I'm 18 now. I'm an adult. I'm not a kid no more. So it makes me think about a lot, you know.
That's good.
Like, even being out there, like, getting stopped all the time by cops, you know, having to get searched all the time, you know, just because they immediately discriminate or they immediately think you're up to something because you're out on the street, you know, you're homeless. They do tend to take your, like, backpack and search you and everything.
You said an interesting thing, though, about the writing, that it's, like, making you think about things and maybe even think about the future.
When you're 18, you're on your own, you know. There's not as much help as you can take when you're still a kid. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities out there.
Well, I hope
we just have to go get them, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I hope that you'll do some of that because I believe in you. And keep writing, okay? Maybe we can do some more.
Never thought I'd be like this. I never thought I'd be like this. Never thought I'd be like this. I never thought I'd be like this. Stuck in the bathroom for hours doing dope next to the person I love. Walking hours for hours all over town looking for foil on the ground. Not knowing what to do, just know time is running out. Time is running out. Time is running out. I lost all my respect and especially all my values just for drugs. I live on the streets and I am only 18 and addicted to drugs. I wish my family knew how much I love them, but I'm just addicted to drugs.
I'd like to talk about the poetry you just heard. The first poem from the first interview, Truth, had a music track behind it. She starts it with the line, "From sleeping in cars with you," a strong opening line, a jarring image. As a listener, you're instantly paying attention. In screenwriting, they call that starting a scene in the middle. She uses vivid imagery, describing the smile on the bony face of her boyfriend, and describes him chasing smoke from the burning foil. She doesn't just say the smile on his face. She says his bony face. Details are crucial in creative writing. As a poet, you are an interpreter, but also an observer. Details bring the poem to life for the listener or reader. Her epiphany in the poem is that she can never make her boyfriend feel the way the drugs do. She even felt jealous. This is not only a potent confessional piece of work, it adds a twist to the notion of jealousy in relationships because the writer is not jealous of another girl, but of a drug. The poem moves to her using drugs, the story quickly advancing, as she tries to understand him by smoking meth herself. She describes her boyfriend's help, lighting the pipe. Check out the literal truth and the irony of using that word, when by assisting her to use drugs, he's not helping her at all. She finishes by explaining that she got no answers, only sadness, and ends the poem neatly rhyming lessons and blessings. It's a short, powerful, elegantly constructed work. In the poem titled Gone, the writer from my second interview describes being stuck in the bathroom for hours doing drugs next to the person she loves. Walking for hours all over town looking for foil on the ground. She repeats the image of hours and hours, and out of this repetitive behavior offers an awareness that for her, time is running out. A statement like this coming from a young person with so much ahead of her is heart-wrenching. The writer says, "I lost all respect due to drugs." She writes, she lives on the streets and that she wishes her family knew how much she loved them, but that she is just addicted to drugs. The sad, honest, self-aware reduction of herself to someone who is just addicted to drugs. That's how drug addicts are perceived, as only that. A user, an addict, homeless. It's deeply moving. The poem's opening line, "I never thought I'd be like this," is excellent because we don't know from that line what she means, so we wonder, and then in an instant we're shown a dramatic portrait, echoing the moment users frequently describe about feeling addicted to heroin or meth or crack, instantly from the first hit. The third writer who you will hear from next has a poem called Connected. She writes about coming here from Mexico with her mom and how they would shiver. That is a great word choice. She goes on to say they suffered, and they came here for something better. Shiver, suffer, better. She establishes a rhythm in her word choice. In one of her other poems, she uses a simile writing, "Hearts cold as igloos." It's a nice rhyme with sporting the blue, and it stands out because igloos are not usually referenced in Southern California. The image of a structure so foreign to us is ideal in describing the gang scene, a life so foreign to those who are not a part of it. And, just like the Eskimos have an extremely hard life facing the elements, so too does a teen growing up on a block filled with gang members. Have you ever been here before?
Yeah, lots of times.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're pretty experienced with Juvenile Hall.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So then we've been doing some writing recently, and you seem like you've enjoyed that.
Yeah, I actually have. I didn't know I was a poet, but, I guess I have.
I guess you are.
Yeah.
You're also a high school graduate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You did that in here.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was actually great. I finished before my time. The teachers actually thought I was supposed to graduate 2 weeks later than they expected, so.
And then at the ceremony, you had some family members there?
Yeah, my mom, my brothers, and my aunt.
Did that feel pretty good?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So they have a fair amount of programs that you can take advantage of inside this facility.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, what have you been doing?
Well, I went to tattoo removal, so that's one of them. And then we have radio program in here, and we get to edit music and all that. And then we have job skills program, so it's kind of like life skills. And then the Boys and Girls Club. So
yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, this poem's called Connected. When I was little, my mom and I would shiver. I remember her saying we suffered in Mexico, so we came to the States to find something better. Now sitting in jail, I write her sad letters, wishing I didn't feel so alone. When I was little, my mom and I would shiver. I remember her saying we suffered in Mexico. So we came to the States to find something better. Now sitting in jail, I write her sad letters, wishing I didn't feel so alone. Here in the halls, my mom is the only one who answers my calls. When I'm missing her, I put my hands together. I pray that angels above protect you and the skies remain blue. Mom, I'll always love you, always love you, always love you.
Nice. So that's your mom yet?
Not yet. She doesn't know English.
Oh, okay. Well, you could probably write it in Spanish.
I don't think it would rhyme.
Well, it doesn't have to rhyme. Maybe we should have you do that, because you're bilingual, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you say a couple things to us in Spanish?
Like what?
I don't know. Like, I'm a high school graduate. It feels pretty good.
Can I just say yo tengo una diploma?
Sí. Claro.
Yeah.
You told me a story the last time I was here about your life that was really powerful.
Yeah.
Is that something you're comfortable talking about?
Well, I could share some. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, a little bit. So, you told me basically when you were 17 years old you got shot.
Yeah.
There are probably people listening that would be like, what? A 17-year-old girl getting shot?
Right.
How can that be?
Well, because of the gang life, you know? So.
Right.
Surrounding yourself around people that probably gonna get you caught up and hurt.
Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty unbelievable experience. Did you say that you were close to death?
Yeah, pretty close.
It's given you a new appreciation of life?
Yeah.
And then something else happened.
A couple months later, I got stabbed 20 times, so yeah.
Still related to gangs.
Yeah. Didn't stop me there.
That's really heavy. Most people don't come anywhere near an experience like that.
Yeah, I guess I could call myself lucky. If you only knew what I've been through, tired of missing out, being in here, I miss my mom. I just want to make her happy. I used to think my homies would always stay down until I got busted in the halls. My mom was the only one answering all my calls. Feeling despised, I try not to cry. Tears falling down my eyes, now you got me asking why. Left me all alone, still calling your cell phone. Cell phone. Cell phone. I am from a small neighborhood where everyone sports the blue. Hearts colder than igloos. I want to change, but they think I can't hang. So I poke my veins to take away the pain. The pain. The pain.
So now you have a chance for a new start. Are you up for that?
Yeah. I have my diploma and I'm applying for financial aid, so I'm hoping I qualify so I can get into Ventura College.
Very good.
Yeah.
I know a guy who teaches English over there. You have to look him up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me find out. That's you.
It's not me, but it's a good friend of mine, and he looks for poetry writers too.
Okay.
How has it been expressing this kind of stuff when you're writing?
Makes me feel like, okay, I'm a poet now. Yeah.
Well, that's good. How about just like having to put down things that you feel, even if they're hard or hurtful or whatnot?
I guess it's a good way to express yourself.
Yeah. You think it helps you get in touch with what you're going through?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
It helps, understand. But
So how are you imagining things changing for yourself?
well, I know it's not gonna be easy, but I know that I can do it. Like I want to be a cosmetologist, so I want to do makeup and all that.
Good. You got your sights set on something.
Yeah,
That's important.
I'm pretty good at it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
So you've already figured out that they got some classes in that over at Ventura?
Well, for the theater, but I'm gonna also go to a vocational school
Where did you hear about these programs?
here at Providence.
Right on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of positive that can come through it.
Yeah.
Okay. Were there some other things that you're thinking about for
Right.
the future?
At this moment, I want a car and I want an apartment. So,
Yeah,
and I feel like I'm gonna be rich.
you do.
Yeah.
Okay. But just making a living and doing well will probably make you feel rich inside.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. That too.
That could be enough, maybe?
Yeah, I feel rich right now. Not money wise, but life
Yeah,
wise.
with your life. How about that?
Because I'm about to be 19. Yeah.
So if there's some other girls out there who are running with the gangs, how would you kind of, as somebody who has now some experience, give them some advice?
Well, I can say that you should probably think about what you're doing, because you're probably going to end up hurt, either in jail, the hospital, or dead. But, like, only that's up to you, you know? Like, somebody can tell you to change 1,000 times, and you're not going to do it unless you want to. So.
That's true. You sound pretty wise, Jay.
Pretty wise.
Yeah. You think...
I'm a young person with an old soul.
There you go. I like your attitude. You always seem to be bringing a pretty good attitude.
Yeah.
What did you say about that the other day? Like, I said, you seem to be smiling all the time, and you were like...
Life's too short to be mad.
Not everybody brings the smile.
I guess I'm one of a kind.
Good for you. You should feel that way about yourself. That's cool. Well, listen, thank you for sharing some of your story today. I think it could be helpful for other teens to hear that, and also for adults so they know what goes on for kids on the street and just out in the hood.
Yeah, it's not just always adults that are being put in situations where their life's at risk. It's also their teenager kids or children, younger children than teenagers.
Right. You've seen that.
Yes.
It's got to be heartbreaking.
It's sad, but you live and you learn.
Okay. Well, good for you. I think you have a good perspective, and I think that's going to carry you far. I'll be rooting for you.
All right. Thank you.
For listeners who wonder about the music, I would like to point out that I celebrate their poems as pieces of writing. I publish the poetry of my students in chapbooks. Adding music to their poem is exciting for them, and it usually inspires them to write more, which is a great outcome. And their poems sound really cool with the music. My friend and former bandmate Kenny Dredd, I send him their recitations, and he does his thing on Pro Tools. CENTRIC is a partnership with the Ventura County Arts Council, CAPS Radio, and the Ventura County Probation Agency. This program is supported by funds from the California Arts Council's Jump Starts program. As a final program note today, I want to talk about my experience working with the County Probation Agency. The current leadership has done an impressive job in reducing the number of youth incarcerated in juvenile hall. I know there are widely varying views on law enforcement, and there are people that want to throw away the key when it comes to juvenile delinquents, especially kids in gangs. I'm not naive. I'm fully aware there are teens who commit murder, and they must be locked up. But they are the exception. We must not paint all of the teens in trouble and incarcerated and even gang-affiliated with that brush. These kids are the future, and most of them come from violent and neglected pasts. I agree with the approach taken by Mark Varela, the chief of our county's probation agency, that the goal is to lock up fewer, not more kids. He has been successful in this quest, and the agency he runs reflects this philosophy in that so many of the staff are truly committed to seeing things improve for these kids. I've worked with the probation agency for over 5 years, and you can tell when a person is committed to their job, believes in the mission. Folks care, and that is hopeful, and it makes a difference. A number of kids I meet in the halls have said as much. I've met kids in our county's facility who have been locked up in other counties, and they are amazed by how much better things are here. So kudos to the folks at the probation agency. You're all appreciated. I include the teachers working at Providence High School inside the facility. Keep up the good work. As you've heard from the girls I interviewed today, so many of these teens struggle with drugs. They need our support. They need alternatives to the choices they are making. Most of them need better parents too. So as adults who interact or come into contact with at-risk, system-engaged, struggling teens, let's be responsible as a community and try to offer something. Even a lack of judgment is a great starting point. What can you do? I ask myself that all the time. There are no easy answers or simple solutions, but there's been a greater awareness of the issues surrounding incarceration in our society, the disproportionate number of people locked up who come from communities of color and from impoverished backgrounds. Becoming aware of this and wanting to see a change matters. It could happen at the ballot box or by volunteering somewhere or supporting some of the nonprofits that work with teens, of which there are many such organizations in this county. In closing, I'd like to say again, thanks for listening. The hosts of this program, CAPS Media and CAPS Radio, are a pleasure to work with. They believe in the voice of the community being heard. And to anyone listening who thinks of trying some television production or of creating a radio show, come on in. They have regular classes and they welcome it.